how is it that you made this amazing film? What is your background, and how did you find yourself so fascinated with the subject?
Well, it was an opportunity, you know, just a chance to be with and to learn with those kind of people. That, you know, there's, if you look back to Donatella, you know, the mother.
Yes.
And 8 kids, you know, having no job and fighting every day, you know, it gets inspiring to you. That's what I felt. So I had a chance to go to Complexo and to, you know, to get in contact with that different world from my, like, parallel universe. So it was inspiring for me. I felt like I had to do something, and that's what we did, me and my brother, of course.
What was the world that you came from that was so different from this one?
Ooh. It's not just one world, you know. Like, it's like this. Here in the US, maybe you live in a world. In Europe, we live in another world. Then you go to Brazil. Then you go to Rio. Then you go to Complexo, Alemão. So they're like different minds, you know, different ways of thinking, different ways of acting and reacting to things, you know. So there's a point where you have to find your own vision, you know. So that was like the most difficult thing, you know, start to think from yourself, like look at it, look at the things and not be influenced by the media or, you know, by everything that's around you. You just feel it and look at it and, you know, see how it is, not how it's told.
How is it that you came across your main characters in the documentary?
Well, I just had a chance to, a friend of mine just called me. I had just arrived from Portugal, in Brazil. So a friend of mine called me, hey, let's go do a video clip from a guy called MC Playboy in Complexo do Alemão. And I said, let's go. You know, I never, like, thought of doing a documentary there or anything else. I just, you know, had the chance, and I looked at it and I thought, well, this is what I want to do. Yeah, this is it. I was looking for something, you know, something special, something that I felt like it had to be told. So, you know, getting in contact with those people and with that reality made me, you know, just do it.
Some of your interviewees were saying that styles were adopted from the other side of the city. Could you explain on that?
You know, it gets to a point, it's kind of fashion, you know, to come from the favela and you have your own funk and go to the rich places and just play it, you know. But, you know, it's such a complex, yeah. I believe complex is the real word, you know, like it's a complex world, you know, that we live in. And there's so much interest in the middle of it, you know. I'm talking about money, politics, and, you know, things that we filmmakers or, you know, writers, we think about it, you know, but we try to put it in a simple way so that people can understand it. And if you get to the ground, you're just a human, you know, and we are people, you know, and it doesn't matter where you're from. Like, good people and bad people comes from everywhere, you know, everywhere. Here, favela, Rio, it doesn't matter, you know. So, I think it's that, you know, I don't know.
Do you see any parallels to the so-called ghettos in American urban cities? And in particular, do you see perhaps the arts and music helping perhaps to raise people out of the favelas, just like, you know, rap music, for example, you know, elevated certain communities, and I guess they became fashionable in one sense too.
Yeah, of course. Like the American influence is Brazil in terms of music and rap and everything. Like, actually, funk also is influenced by like American rap music. But, you know, there are some exceptions to it. Like MC Playboy is one of those exceptions, because the lyrics that he tries to bring to us, they're conscious, you know. They try to bring you something else than just, you know, like revenge, or, you know, just a feeling of, yeah, that's it, you know. So, of course, they're influenced. Everybody's influenced, because, you know, the world is all connected. Nowadays, it's like you can be in the middle of the favela and you access internet. You understand that? So sometimes you think, oh, it's far. No, it's not far. It's far from the place, you know. So it influences you, and the way you use that it might do good things or bad things, you know.
1 second, we're going to get to the obvious question about what's happening right now in, you know, in favelas and the headlines. But I wanted to ask you a technical question. Your film is like saturated in color, and I wanted you to just tell us a little bit about your aesthetic decision for the look of the film.
Well, first it was quite an impossible film to make. I heard, you know. Then I did. But because why? Because it was an impossible place to film, so nobody wanted to support us, me and my brother. So for you to know, like, we did this with an HVX 200 with 2 cars or 4 Gs. You know what it means nowadays? Like, it's nothing, you know. It's like it was an adventure. And you know, when you look at the favela, there's a lot of colors in it. So we felt like when we went to the color treatment, we felt like we had to put that out, you know. And sometimes the favela is really dark, and that's one other thing. Sometimes it's like bright. So we just traveled in that, you know. As you said, at least we tried, me and my brother, to put a little bit of poetry in it, you know, because try to pass to the audience what we lived, what we have seen. That's how it was.
I really think that this movie could only be made by somebody that is not, even though I think he's a Brazilian, period. He speaks Portuguese like from Carioca. We have adopted him, literally. But I really believe that this movie that we just saw could only be made from an outsider, because unfortunately an insider, as a Brazilian or someone that lives in my country, we're saturated with media. So it's very hard for us to disconnect like he did. He was able to put poetry in it, and he saw it through the eyes of a Portuguese that came from a different background. If it was poor or rich, I don't know, but it was very different than that. So I think that a Brazilian, Carioca especially, could never do that, because we would be too attached and too angry. And that's exactly what the drug dealer said, is they build, you know, the children, you know, when they try to build through education. And actually the media builds us, the normal human being, with anger. And it's not really the truth of what's going on out there. You know, so it's everybody building anger, unnecessary anger, I think, in my country. That's what I believe.